Kids went to bed after the first period, and can I say I am jealous? The Vegas Golden Knights lose 4-2 against the Washington Capitals. First loss of the season always stings, especially when it comes as a revenge game against your former goaltender who played phenomenally. Like Logan Thompson, just to make it clear, I said phenomenally. He had a great game, better game than Hill, although I don't think that this loss is on Adin Hill either. Washington just simply outplayed us. They were the faster team, they were the stronger team during the entirety of the game. There were brief stints where our first line was able to do stuff, but that depth stuff that I talked about last game, not there tonight. A really solid effort tonight from all of Vegas' depth. Same exact lineup as game 2, same exact lineup as game 3 too, but just swap goalies. And the Capitals strike first. It's Jakub Vrana, who I was watching the Vegas feed, but that call from the Washington announcer was fantastic. Vrana used to be a member of the Washington Capitals, was traded for Anthony Mantha, another Vegas legend. Mangiapane, Flames legend, is able to create this turnover from Zach Whitecloud against the boards in our defensive zone, sends it to the slot where a streaming Vrana is able to just blast this one home, bang, past Adin Hill to make it 1-0. This is his first game back as a Capital too, so really a special moment for them. Fantastic, right? But Vegas is able to respond on the power play too from Victor Olofsson. More news on why that's sad at the end of this game, but we spent a good minute, that entire power play was solid. We didn't score for a long time on it, but it eventually comes to a head when Hurdle has an amazing pass all the way across, and Olofsson, which is basically against the boards, is able to pat this home past Thompson and make it a tie game 1-1, and that is how the first period would end. And overall, just in general, throughout the entirety of the game, like I said earlier, the Washington Capitals just outplayed us incredibly. Specifically for 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Dylan Strome was not this good last time I ever remember seeing him play. He was fantastic and flying. He enters the zone, the puck ends up with Ovi, who's in a board battle, and he sends this pass over to Protas, who's all alone in the slot, blasts it home past Hill. It's 2-1 Capitals, and then before I can even think, there's a 2-on-1 the other way for the Capitals, and Chychrun bats this thing out of the air in the middle. I was doing that with my son earlier with a ball, and he's able to do that on the ice with the puck at full speed in an actual NHL game. That Tom Wilson goal just never happened in my brain. I immediately shut it out because it's Tom Wilson, but Ovechkin, board battle, gets it over to Strome in Gretzky's office, waits for Wilson to get all alone. He's just kind of skating up, and Vegas is puck watching, and they get the puck over to Wilson towards the net, and he's able to blast it past Hill to make it 2-1, and then the Protas goal makes it 3-1, and then the Chychrun goal makes it 4-1, and that all happened in 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Not fun to watch all of that happen, especially because I knew it wasn't Adin Hill's fault, but Vegas just weren't awake. They didn't have their whatever the issue was. We need to fix that for the next game, please. Vegas in that second period had 2 breakaway chances that Logan Thompson just outright stopped. The first one on Mark Stone with an incredible feed from Alex Pietrangelo, who was basically against our own goal, the boards, and sends the longest pass I've seen so far this year up to Mark Stone, who's basically at the blue line about to enter the cap zone, which I don't know what he cherry picking, but hey, it leads to this opportunity that Thompson barely gets a piece of, and I think it would have gone. It doesn't matter. Good play from Thompson. That's frustrating. And then there was a face-off win from Vegas in our defensive zone. Barbashev feeds it up. It might have not have been Barbashev. It could have been Hurdle. That would make more sense with the line. Anyway, to Alexander Holtz, who has this opportunity, streams in, but Logan Thompson makes the save. He was phenomenal tonight. He played really well. I like this player. There was some ill feeling from him towards the franchise, maybe the front office. I don't know what was going on there exactly. It sucks a little bit because some of his comments that he's made regarding Vegas affect us as fans. There was one thing over the summer where it was the goalies don't get credit as much as the defensive system or whatever, and so it's whatever. But I love the dude. And so that just hurt. he sounds like he's got a little bit of arrogance, but I mean, like, most NHL players would. They should. They're the top, like, 0.01% of hockey players in the world. To get to that point, you kind of have to be a little bit, right? Anyways, moving past that, we get one back, Jack Eichel, and speaking of Vegas's top line, Dreamin' Barbashev over to Stone with a beautiful dime of a pass over to Eichel, who has to corral the puck a little bit, but it's okay because Logan Thompson was like 3 feet out of his net on the other side, and he sends it in to make it a 4-2 game, which is a little bit more believable that we could come back, but the longer that the third period went on, the less likely it seemed, even though Vegas had 2 power plays. That's another thing that I've noticed, is that since the beginning of the season, we've relied on that top power play unit for most of the power play time. And I don't know why that is. This was talked about from Jesse Granger and Simbin on Twitter, but I noticed it as well. Like, we are giving them majority of most power plays, which is just unusual because we've always been kind of a spread the talent around, and we're not doing that right now. It's not good or bad, it's just interesting. And that power play has looked really good, and we've had sustained zone time. But then come the end of the game, where before I talk about the 6-on-5, Victor Olofsson, there's a weird play where his foot gets stuck or caught or something and towards the boards, and he falls awkwardly, and I think he, like, I don't know, his ankle looked, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm a fan. I'm not even this is very amateur. Like, I took nursing classes, but like, I know a little bit more than the average person when it comes to medical stuff, but not anywhere near, especially because, like, trying to diagnose from video is just a terrible idea in general, and yeah, that's not great. But it did not look good, especially because he could not put weight on it and was limping back, and he had to be helped off the ice, and that is terrible because he's been phenomenal for us. Seriously, Vegas Vic Olofsson, somebody get that guy a warm hug.
I'm Olofsson, and I like warm hugs.
I don't know, cause like, he's been so good for it's been early, limited time, but that would be a really big hit, which is weird because his cap hit is barely that big. And when that happened, I like, obviously that was more important, but I also knew we weren't coming back into this. Vegas goes to 6-on-5 and plays, we passed a bit, and that happened a little bit in the power plays too earlier, where it was like, guys, take a little bit more shots, and Olofsson was our guy for that on the power play for the most part. And the thing is Eichel moves around a lot. Theodore moves as the power play guy, the quarterback, but he doesn't really move on his own. He like gives Eichel, who's the majority of the puck carrier during the power play, and like him being open, but like he's not moving himself to create space or anything. And that's the same thing with Stone and Hurdle and Olofsson. Olofsson takes shots, but like, they did a lot of passing around the perimeter again today, and that's not great. It took like 40 something seconds of the empty net where we had the zone the entire time and possession the entire time before we finally got a shot on from Barbashev, who was in Olofsson's spot after he got injured. And that's not enough. Like, I understand you want to get the perfect shot or whatever, but like, if you're just taking shots for taking a shot's sake, like, then they'll clear it or whatever. And so like, but also not taking a shot means you can't get an opportunity to score a goal, which you need 2 of at this point. And so it was frustrating seeing them just pass it around and not shooting the freaking puck. Anyways, this loss, we weren't gonna go 82-0. Come on. Like, that's just ridiculous. But to come against Logan Thompson, losing Victor Olofsson in the process, and we just didn't look great. Which you can, it's still early in the season, there's time to fix it, but like, we just started this road trip, and we're going to face Tampa next, who they're good, right? And then Florida after that, which is the defending Stanley Cup champion, who are missing Barkov, and Tkachuk I don't think is supposed to be playing because he's feeling sick, which must mean he's got to be really sick because the dude freaking played with a broken sternum last year, or 2 years ago. As a fan, you want your team to win every game. You want to go 82-0. And so when you lose, even though, like, because of how invested I am into this team, which is pretty dumb from a, hey, like, in general, like, not because it's Vegas, just because being invested in a sports franchise the way that I am is a little bit much. But it's fun. And when we lose, it sucks and it's sad and frustrating. And so that's how I feel. Ending on a positive note, I was able to watch the first period with my family, which we don't get to do that very much anymore since moving to the East Coast because of how late the games are. And that's been something that I've missed a lot, but something that I cherish even more now is getting to have these early away games or even the matinee games. It's just, I appreciate those so much more than I did before because I have this extra time with my family that I can watch my favorite thing with. And they were chanting "Go Knights Go," and we were playing hockey, and my daughter sat in my lap and we read a hockey book that I have memorized at this point. So I can look at the screen while also, maybe not being as attentive as I should have been as a father, and the fact that we were able to end that period tied 1-1, that, like, great. It was a good night for me, and I'm gonna take that, even though I can't light this thing tonight. But that's gonna be it for today's nightly review. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.